From all across the First State, it's the Delaware Bankers Association's 126th Annual Meeting. Brought to you in part by Platinum sponsor, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, and Gold sponsor, Young Conaway Stargett and Taylor, and featuring keynote speaker, Erin Arvalon. Here now is DBA President, Sarah Long.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. My name is Sarah Long, and I'm the president of the Delaware Bankers Association and the Delaware Financial Education Alliance. I hope you enjoyed that musical prelude with the Wilmington Concert Opera. I wanted to say a special thank you to Marissa, Logan, and Samuel. It's been a hard year for performing arts, and we were just so thrilled to have the group with us, and we hope that you look for a future performance. It was wonderful seeing everyone tonight in the networking event before tonight. And if you have not already received your mixologist kit, looks like this, please reach out and let either Renee or Corinne know. And if you missed Corinne, our featured mixologist, please go to the website for this event. You can click on that, and on demand, you can see about a 5-minute video, which will walk you through some different mocktails and cocktails that you can make. We have an action-packed agenda this evening, but we're going to start first with the national anthem. And I'd like Logan to join us again, and please stand if you are able.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Logan. That was just beautiful. We had really hoped to be together in person for this program, but due to the continuing social distancing requirements and a high pollen count, here we are. But that doesn't mean this event will be any less memorable. We have an action-packed program, which includes appearances by many dignitaries, the awarding of the 2021 David G. Pickerian scholarships, and of course, our keynote speaker, Erin Arvalon, author of Too Good to Be True, The Rise and Fall of Bernie Madoff. This year has been one for the record books. There were so many firsts we all navigated through, working from home, meeting virtually, wearing masks. The upheaval in our lives and the challenges we face because the coronavirus cannot be glossed over, but they did spur us to reconsider who we are, what we value, how we work, and live our lives. Much of what we experienced and learned through the pandemic will influence the future of how we work, how we live. Virtual meetings are here to stay. Working from home will continue to benefit employees and employers by providing flexibility when needed. And work-life balance, as much as work and life can ever be in balance, will return. Through it all, you, our members, have generously supported the DBA and the FBA. You have so unselfishly given of your time and talent to contribute to the welfare of our industry, our communities, and each other. The board of directors remained engaged and available to address whatever needed to be tackled whenever it needed to be tackled. Our small but mighty team continued to deliver top-notch programs using new technology. They kept the lines of communication open with legislators and exuded unwavering positivity. collectively achieved the outcome we had hoped for, keeping the lights on and the virtual door open. Thank you, members, board, and team. The DBA Annual Meeting is made possible through the loyal support of our sponsors. You'll find them listed here. You can also visit the annual meeting page, click on their logo, and visit their website to learn more. Many of our sponsors will be featured throughout the event, beginning with Platinum Sponsor, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, who plays an essential role in the economic growth and financial well-being of our communities.
Welcome to what we commonly refer to as the old courthouse building here on Rodney Square, home to Young Conaway, Stargett and Taylor LLP, one of Delaware's great metropolitan law firms, and proud once again to be a major sponsor of the Delaware Bankers Association's annual meeting. I'm Gene DiPrinzio, one of the firm's now senior partners and a member of the firm's commercial real estate, banking, and land use section. I'm not sure where time has flown since I greeted you this time last year to welcome you to the DBA's then historic anniversary dinner. But this much I do know, the DBA has been hard at work, fulfilling its mission to give back to our community and its members. From assisting with the implementation of the PPP loan program to helping our kids to save, I've been able to see firsthand from Sarah, Greg, and the entire DBA team how valuable this DBA support has been to businesses of all sizes in a very distressing year. While we've all had to navigate in the pandemic's uncharted waters, the DBA has been a beacon of light to many of our clients and colleagues. As an associate member and service partner to many DBA financial institutions, the attorneys of Young Conaway remain dedicated to working with members of the DBA and our community to pick up where we left off before the pandemic, growing the opportunities found here in Greater Wilmington and the state of Delaware, and improving our quality of life. Our team is positioned well to continue to serve you as we have done for over 35 years. So until next time, when we can hopefully all gather together in person, I wish you and your families good health and peace. Remain well, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene, for being a true friend and partner to the DBA, and thank you, Young Conaway, Stargett, and Taylor, for playing such an important role in helping shape legislative and case law in Delaware for over half a century. I would like to acknowledge and thank the members of the board. The DBA is fortunate to have board members who are passionate about the mission of the DBA and who willingly share their time, talent, and leadership. A special thanks to Beth Albano, President, Artisans Bank, as she completes her term on the board. Over the past 6 years, Beth has led the association admirably, serving as chair-elect, chair, and past chair. Her financial acumen and her balanced advice have served the board well. Beth truly believes in the DBA's mission, vision, and values. Beth, you will be missed. Thank you. A special thanks also to Joe Westcott, Market President, Capital One, as he completes his term as chair. I know full well that when we asked Joe to be in the chairs, no one could have imagined a year like this. The phrase hindsight is 2020 usually means looking back and having a clearer understanding of how it could have been better, not even remotely close with Joe at the helm. Joe's rock steady support and thoughtful leadership was exactly what we needed to navigate COVID-19. Thank you, Joe. And we'll hear from Joe right after this.
The racial and economic disparities that have long existed in this country have only been widened by the coronavirus and amplified by the most recent acts of injustice. People around the world are coming together with greater urgency to demand action. At Bank of America, we know we all have a role to play to overcome the very real consequences of systemic racism and inequity. This includes individuals, governments, nonprofits, and the private sector. Racial equality and economic opportunity are deeply connected. That's why Bank of America has committed $1 billion over 4 years to address critical gaps in affordable housing, access to healthcare, employment and job skills, and the resources small businesses need to succeed. We can do more, and we need to do more now to further advance racial equality and economic opportunity for all.
Good evening. I'm Joe Westcott, Chair of the Delaware Bankers Association. Our annual meeting would not be complete without greetings from our representatives in Dover and Washington. Here now is Governor Carney.
Good evening, everyone. This is Governor John Carney, and I'm delighted to join you for the 126th Annual Bankers Association meeting. While we couldn't come together in person again this year, there is light at the end of the COVID-19 tunnel. Over this past year, my focus as your governor has been on protecting lives and the livelihoods of Delaware families while facing the challenges of the pandemic across our state. But we're in a very different place than we were last year. We're vaccinating more and more Delawareans every day, and soon more than half of all eligible Delawareans will be vaccinated, and that will make a big difference. I want to thank everyone for transforming their operations to keep your employees safe while still performing their important work. I know it hasn't been easy. The Delaware Bankers Association and its member institutions continue to make Delaware a national leader in the banking industry. That's extremely important to our state's economy and something we all should be very proud of. I hope everyone has an enjoyable evening. Please get vaccinated and encourage those you know to get vaccinated if you haven't already, to help us beat this virus and get back to normal. Thank you again for everything you do for our state, and have a great evening.
Good evening, everyone. I am Matt Parks from Discover Bank and a board member of the Delaware Bankers Association. Even though we still cannot be together, it was our pleasure to sponsor tonight's virtual event. We would like to thank the staff of the DBA for all their efforts throughout this past year, and we look forward to getting together again sometime soon. So please relax and enjoy the program.
It's now my honor to welcome Delaware's Senior Senator, Tom Carver.
Hello, everybody. I'm still Tom Carver. This is what I look like these days. Right here in the dining room of my home, doing yet another video or Zoom. And I must say I've enjoyed them, but I don't enjoy them as much as being with people. And when we did this a year ago, I said I look forward to being with you in 2021, and we could be alive and in person. We're almost there, and we're making great progress. It's taken a while for us to get the vaccines and to create the vaccines and get the vaccines in people's arms. We're high gear thanks to the efforts and leadership of our governor and a lot of people in the medical profession and folks, just good old people at pharmacies and all kinds of folks who pulled together. This has been a tough year tough more than a year. 15, 16 months. It's been a tough year for businesses. It's been a tough year for a lot of families. A lot of people have not been able to see their loved ones in the last days, weeks, months of their lives, and kids not being able to go to school, kids falling further and further behind school. So there's that's been tough for everybody. And I just want to say thank you to this particular banking community for being there to help make sure that we can meet our credit needs, to make sure that our businesses could have the opportunity to apply for PPP and maybe EIDL loans through the SBA. Thank you for being there to help make sure that the families had access to the credit, whether they had children or not, whether they're young or they're old. But thank you for being there for all of us. I'm tempted to say next year when you have the annual meeting of the DBA, I look forward to joining all of you. I look forward to seeing you next month. In fact, I see some of you at the YMCA, and including some of the people that are watching this video tonight. And I look forward to being with all of you again soon. To the extent that my staff and I can be of help to all of you, please call on us. You're doing the Lord's work, and we're grateful for that. Keep it up, and we'll see you on the other side. God bless. Thanks so much.
Year after year, we've been ranked the best bank for customer satisfaction. Want to know our secret? It's our people. Hardworking, kind-hearted, and fun-loving. They are our secret ingredient.
Please welcome Delaware's junior senator, Senator Chris Coons.
Good evening. I'm thrilled to welcome you to another annual dinner with the Delaware Bankers Association. Thank you to Sarah Long and to Joe Westcott in particular for your leadership this past year with West End Neighborhood House at the Wilmington Alliance. I've been working hard in the Senate to make sure our state and all Delawareans have the economic support they need. So I owe all of you a special thanks for making sure our small businesses and nonprofits have been supported, have had access to the PPP, and that we work collaboratively to provide financial services to our communities who need it. This past year has brought new challenges, but some incredible feats as well. The engagement, guidance, and troubleshooting we've done together has been a reminder of why I love Delaware and value the relationships we have. Thank you, and enjoy your evening.
A history of stability, consistent results, and a track record of client relationships that go the distance. An independent spirit that frees us to take the contrarian view and serve only our clients' best interests. A creative mentality. Visionary people who know that the popular solution isn't always the right solution. A team built to challenge one another and keep raising the bar. At Glenmead, the ideals of the Pugh family form the foundation of our company. And today, it thrives because of our employees, people that not only value our heritage, but focus on helping clients have lasting impact. They are the reliable stewards that keep our priorities, our minds, our mission focused and aligned. They know that from unwavering ideals come innovative ideas. Ideas that power us through changing times but never veer from core beliefs, and always support the tenets of our brand. Today, Glenmead is confident about our path forward, but we never forget where we came from. Let the markets go up and down. Let new rules and technologies change the game. At Glenmead, we have the thinkers, the innovators, and the visionaries to forge ahead and think apart. Glenmead, founded on ideals, built on ideas.
Here now is Delaware's member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Greetings, Delaware Bankers Association. I'm honored to join you tonight for the 126th annual meeting and to acknowledge the incredible leadership of your president, Sarah Long, and board chair, Joe Westcott. You have led the DBA during one of the most trying chapters in our history, and you have risen to meet the challenge. I'd also like to welcome and congratulate incoming chair, Tom Forrest. The past 14 months have changed all of us in ways that we could not have imagined. And for the DBA and so many of your members, whether it was facing a pandemic head-on and learning new programs overnight to support our communities and small businesses, like the PPP program, to adapting your organizations and your employees to a new way of working, to standing up for racial and social justice, you have risen to the challenge. We all know that there is so much more that we need to do to ensure that we recover, rebuild, and restore our nation. And I look forward to continuing that partnership with you. Have a successful annual meeting, and good night.
The story of JP Morgan Chase is a different story.
A story of different people.
Different voices.
That's all that matters. You made my day for saying that.
Different eyes sharing the same vision.
Different dreams, a common hope.
Different goals.
Different triumphs.
Shared successes.
Different ways to make a difference.
Teamwork.
Collaboration.
Personal commitment.
Respect. We're a community.
Family.
There's a reason why I'm here at JP Morgan Chase.
No doubt in my mind.
It's people.
It's our people that make a difference. It's as simple as that.
We are the heartbeat of
JP Morgan Chase.
and we're making it happen. Together.
在一起
共に
Together.
Good evening. I'm Colleen Davis, Delaware State Treasurer, and I am honored to join you tonight as we celebrate the 126th annual meeting of the Delaware Bankers Association. It's been an honor serving Delawareans in this capacity. With some of the most dedicated public servants, my office has been able to constantly meet the challenges of providing a modern and secure payment infrastructure to the state of Delaware, while ensuring that we continue to offer the high-performing, customer-centered service expected by our constituents. And we could not do it without the key partnerships that we have formed with our financial institutions here in Delaware. You keep Delaware in constant motion, whether it's the day-to-day retail banking, helping Delawareans transact and save, or the behind-the-scenes efforts to keep Delaware's economy strong and resilient. Thank you for always being there for Delaware. So to the Delaware Bankers Association, your board of directors, Sarah, Tom, and the rest of the fabulous staff, congratulations and thank you for all the good work that you and the industry do to keep Delaware #1.
Good evening. I'm Tom Forrest, Chair-elect of the Delaware Bankers Association. Each year, the DBA awards the David Bakarian Scholarship to 2 students enrolled in the Keys to Financial Success high school elective. Since 2001, the DBA joined with the University of Delaware Center for Economic Education and Entrepreneurship, the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and the Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware to create the Keys to Financial Success elective in Delaware high schools. Since then, thousands of high school students have been taught how to make sound financial decisions and manage their personal finances. All students enrolled in the class are eligible to apply for the scholarship. The award selection process includes the review and judging of written essays on the values and importance of financial literacy education and its application in everyday life. The judging was challenging as we received many well-written and creative essays. Each winner receives a $2,500 scholarship. It is my pleasure to recognize the 2021 David G. Bakarian winners. Brendan Lewis from Caesar Rodner High School and Aiden Lowe from Newark Charter High School. Here's Brendan Lewis with an excerpt from his essay.
Ultimately, this class is not really about finance, although that is the main focus. It's really about how to make choices in a smarter way. The majority of young people in the U.S. seem to not put much thought into important, life-changing decisions. Since they're still young, they can afford to make a few mistakes, right? Well, actually, the decisions they make now will affect their entire future.
And here's Aiden Lowe with an excerpt from his essay.
This class should be mandatory for all students to take because the #1 complaint when it comes to what students learn in school is that none of it is going to be useful in the real world. Unless we get it from our parents, we're not taught about how to do taxes or how to save money. The Keys to Financial Success teaches the language and components of financial literacy.
Congratulations to our scholarship winners.
To the dreamers, the doers, the cultivators, and the storytellers. To the teachers, the builders, to those just getting started, and those who've accomplished so much. To today's leaders and the next generation. To all the communities we serve, we believe that together we can make things better for all.
It has been very rewarding to serve as chair. We all have been faced with so many challenges over the past year, I want to thank the great group of leaders serving our industry on the DBA board for guiding us through them. I am honored to consider them colleagues. Thank you. At this point, I pass the gavel to your new DBA chair, Tom Forrest. Tom, I wish you every success in the year ahead.
Thank you, Joe.
WSFS is proud to support the Delaware Bankers Association and sponsor its 126th annual meeting. For nearly 130 years, the DBA has supported banks throughout the state. The DBA's years of service have been instrumental in the growth of the banking industry, the economy, and our communities in Delaware, as well as the growth and success of WSFS. Much like the DBA, WSFS has a rich history in Delaware. Since its founding nearly 200 years ago, WSFS has grown to become the largest locally managed bank and trust company headquartered in the Delaware and Greater Philadelphia region, employing over 1,800 associates and serving customers at 90 banking locations. Since 1832, we've been serving our customers and communities. We stand for service is our mission, and we live it every day. We look forward to continuing that service in partnership with the DBA for years to come. Thank you again to the DBA for its continued support throughout the years of both our industry and the state of Delaware.
I am so excited to introduce our keynote speaker this evening, Aaron Arvalon, who's a financial investigative journalist who's written for Barron's, the Wall Street Journal, the Moscow Times, the New York Times, you name it. Aaron is currently a columnist with the Philadelphia Inquirer. In her own words, Aaron states, "I cover all things personal finance and investing, as well as Wall Street frauds and other miscreants. I'm open to all tips." On May 7th, 2001, almost 20 years ago to the day, Barron's published her article, "Don't Ask, Don't Tell, Bernie Madoff Attracts Skeptics." This was the only second article published less than a week after the first article that questioned Madoff's scheme, his demand for investor secrecy, and his steady gains. Fun fact, Arvalon graduated from Arvalon Academy in '84 and Archmere in '88. She will deliver a short presentation, and then we're going to open it up for live Q&A. So please get your questions ready. And with that, here's Erin.
Hi, everyone. My name's Erin Arvalon. I'm a reporter with the Philadelphia Inquirer and a longtime business journalist. I'm very pleased to be the guest of the Delaware Bankers Association, and I'm going to be giving a very short presentation on Bernie Madoff. This was a $65 billion fraud that you probably have heard of if you're in the banking community. But the developments we've seen in the last couple of years, I think will blow your mind. So why don't we get started? I have a short PowerPoint. You can watch, or you can just listen along. So recently, you may have heard that Bernie Madoff died in prison at the age of 82. He was serving a 150-year prison sentence. So let's get started. For those of you who are on the lookout for white-collar fraud, Bernie Madoff is the perfect example of somebody who played on affinity frauds and was able to play psychological tricks on investors in order to keep his scheme going. After his arrest in December of 2008, Bernie Madoff became probably the most hated man in America. He was the face of the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. And in fact, he was the only major Wall Street figure to go to prison, despite all of the tremendous financial losses we experienced. A little bit about who Bernie was. For those of you who aren't familiar with him, he was a stockbroker. He got started in the 1960s running a legitimate brokerage firm with his brother. At the same time, he started running a very, very small, informal hedge fund. This was a way for him to raise money for the brokerage firm. And it was also a way to kind of do favors for friends and family. This fraud, if you can believe it, went on for decades. It grew mostly in the late 1990s and early 2000s. In 1996, Madoff's original Ponzi scheme was shut down by the SEC. And he, at that point, had to decide, do I get out of this game altogether or do I double down? And he decided to double down. And he recruited banks, he recruited what are known as feeder funds, and he recruited pretty much anyone who had significant wealth to come into his phony hedge fund. And for those of you who might have thought he was actually trading, he wasn't. He had a very successful, legitimate brokerage firm, Bernard L. Madoff Securities, which was doing 10% of all the volume on the New York Stock Exchange. But he also was running a $1 billion scam. The only reason that his fraud came to light was because the stock market crashed in 2008 and all his investors came running back. I was actually at the sentencing for Bernie Madoff in 2009, and he had over 13,000 investment accounts. And of those, there were hundreds of thousands of people who lost money with him. His sentence was 150 years, which, for a 70-something man, that was definitely a life and death sentence. The reason I was interested in this case is because I had written a story for Barron's Magazine in 2001 questioning his exceptionally smooth returns. They weren't fantastic, but they were smooth. 10, 11% a year without fail. And as some of you may remember, in 2001, the stock market was crashing. So Barron's published our story, essentially asking, how does he do it? I was not the only one asking questions at that time. A man by the name of Harry Markopolos, who was a competitor of Madoff, also started asking questions. He was doing the same stated strategy, trading options, and yet he wasn't making the same returns. So he started alerting the authorities. He wrote a series of 4 or 5 letters saying something's up. What was Bernie Madoff actually doing? He was doing exactly what this guy was doing, who was Charles Ponzi. A Ponzi scheme is essentially a pyramid where you promise returns to your early investors, and then you recruit new victims, take their money to pay out your first investors. We see Ponzi schemes all the time. Sometimes they're referred to as multi-level marketing, pyramid schemes, but they're common and they go on all the time. The FBI, of course, has what they call tips for avoiding Ponzi schemes. Essentially, these are too good to be true promises. And of course, they ask people, do your due diligence, do your homework, talk to an unbiased third party. But Madoff was able to circumvent a lot of these red flags. And so my job when I was writing the book was to figure out how and why did he do it? How did he expect to get away with it? How much did his family know? His sons, his wife, his brother, they were all working for him. And why wouldn't anyone listen? Experts like Harry Markopolos were asking questions, raising questions with the SEC. How come no one listened? Essentially, and I'm not going to read through these slides because I hate when people do that, he relied on con man techniques, playing hard to get, the velvet rope trick, telling wealthy people that they can't have something is a surefire way to get them interested. He used forgery. He printed out investor statements for decades And he relied on Jargon. He claimed to be using a strategy called the split strike conversion. He was doing no such thing. He never made a single trade in the hedge fund that he was running. He was just wiring money back and forth to make it look like he was trading. He also threatened his investors and said, my returns are so good, you're not going to be able to ask any questions about how I do it. And if you do, I'm kicking you out. Also, avoid the press. He was a master at not giving interviews. The book that I wrote in the wake of his arrest was called Not a Surprise, Too Good to Be True. And it was, it took me about a year to finish the book, and it was nowhere near a conclusive account. The book came out in 2009, and it's only in the last few years that I've been able to sort out exactly what happened. The original story that I wrote was called Don't Ask, Don't Tell, Forbearance, and there's a link to it here. I am not going to give you the whole rundown, but essentially what we tried to do was take note of the fact that his returns rival those of some of the biggest hedge funds out there. George Soros, Julian Robertson. In 2001, hedge funds were not as big of a deal as they are now. There really were not that many billion-dollar hedge funds. So he was one of a handful. Today, we read about them all the time. What I did essentially was try to draw Madoff out by saying, I'm writing this story. We want you to participate. You've got to explain to us, what's the strategy? How do you reverse engineer it? Again, I went through the quote unquote split strike conversion strategy. I had talked to some options traders trying to sort out exactly how he might have done it. And he essentially said, it's a proprietary strategy. I'm not going to go into it. All right. Now, what Madoff told me was, if you invest with me, you must never tell anyone that I'm your money manager. That was a tremendous red flag because, as you know, people on Wall Street like to brag, and it made absolutely no sense. The other strange part was his fee structure. He told some of the feeder funds who were sending him money that you can keep the management fee. And that meant hundreds of millions of dollars that he was giving up. And why would he do that? It was because he wanted to keep the money flowing in. So Madoff confessed to this crime in December of 2008. I will say that the only reason I believe that his fraud came to light was because the stock market crashed. And if the market had not crashed, he probably still would be running this scam. I actually waited many, many years for this fraud to come to light. There were others who wrote books. Among them was a woman who claimed to be his mistress, Cheryl Weinstein. Andrew Kurtzman wrote another book. And of course, Harry Markopolos. He was the author of a book called No One Would Listen. He testified in front of Congress and essentially said the SEC completely missed the biggest fraud in history. If you're interested in learning more about Harry, whom I respect a lot, there's a great interview with him on 60 Minutes, and there's a link in here. But the main thing is that I want to be able to answer your questions about how Madoff actually got away with the fraud for so long. We see other frauds of this nature all the time. Elizabeth Holmes with Theranos is a great example. Tip number one, if you want to get away with a fraud of this size, introduce complex jargon. This is a complete red flag. If you have an investor or you yourself are looking to do due diligence on an investment, don't be afraid of financial jargon. Tell them to explain it to you in English. Fuzzy language. Elizabeth Holmes was running what she said was a groundbreaking company, Theranos, doing blood tests that only required a prick of the finger. Unfortunately, Fortune magazine was snowed by, I think, her good looks, by her charm, and also the fact that she was vague about how she was actually doing this. With Madoff, it was really key to get the right documents. I always try and think it in a document frame of mind. You know, I need to get an offering document. I need to see statements that have come from a third party. Anything that can independently verify the returns. Beware of secrecy. If someone is asking to keep the strategy or keep the existence of the fund a secret, just don't walk, run the other way. Also, look for anomalies. It was clear that Madoff's fund was doing well in down years, and that made absolutely no sense. If your investment or your prospect investment is an anomaly, make sure to figure out why. Lawsuits. I know bankers and investment people don't like lawsuits, but they are treasure troves of information. I always like to look and see if a subject of a story has been sued, because a lot of great nuggets can come out in discovery, in depositions, and it can be a great place to find red flags. Non-denial denials. Whenever Madoff was asked whether or not he was quote unquote front running, which meant he was trading ahead of his clients, he never said no. He just said, it's a proprietary strategy. I can't go into it. For me, that's another red flag. Ask a different question. I love pointing to the example of Bethany McLean at Fortune. She wanted to write a story about Enron, but she couldn't get her editors interested in it until she asked the question about whether the stock was overvalued. And that's how she was able to kind of get into the story. Finally, Madoff's billion-dollar hedge fund was a client of a two-man accounting shop. As I'm sure many bankers and accountants and tax attorneys know, if your investment fund is using a small unknown accounting firm, that's usually a very bad sign. So what I'm looking forward to now, if we can go to the Q&A with Jim, is I'd like to talk a little bit about what we know now about the FBI's investigation of Bernie Madoff. Finally, we often talk about the Cassandra Prize, which is the Greek goddess with the gift of prophecy, but she was doomed to be ignored. There are quite a few Cassandras out there. And I just want to say that it's always worth it to raise questions and be skeptical. It's an important part of doing due diligence. And I hope you have enjoyed the presentation.